Now he's underweight and he's going to get disqualified.
It's fair.
Welcome to Shifting Gears.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Already.
Wow.
I know.
You didn't even say all right.
I know. I just went ahead and went right in there because it was quick. All right. Welcome to Shifting Gears.
We have 5 different gears we're going to talk about.
5 different topics. Let's go ahead and get into that first one.
The first gear is going to be the Xfinity race and Parker Kligerman.
Yeah.
Well, I think NASCAR needs to fix something because that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because they have pictures of how close it was, and like it was literally several feet. Mm-hmm. But you have to think he's going 80 to 100 miles per hour. That is like milliseconds. Mm-hmm. So he was that close to a win, which inevitably, whenever they recalled it and said there was the yellow flag before the white flag, it actually changed almost everything in the playoffs too. Yeah. So it's like just that one call affects so many drivers, and so they just need to fix,
Yeah. Here's what I'll say about it is that NASCAR again are really bad at officiating this different stuff. Like you saw that. I forget his name. Was it Leland Honeyman that was in there? Or Caden Honeycutt? I get them mixed up. I think it's Leland Honeyman. That was in the tires so bad. And I think they said it was like, 17 seconds, I think is what it was, where they saw that they were in the tires, but to where they threw the yellow flag. If they were just to throw the yellow flag right then and there, then it wouldn't have even been close. It wouldn't have been controversial. They would have been like, oh, it was going to be a caution. The tires, he had gotten so deep in the tires that the tires were over the car. So it was going to be a caution. So I don't know why they don't just. It's the same thing with Indy when Kyle Larson won. Ryan Preece, I think is what it was. Who it was on the racetrack for almost like a half of a lap, and never got it going. It's like throw the caution. Just throw it when you need to. I'm not saying get it to where somebody gets loose and then immediately throw the caution because you think he's going to spin out, but wait for it to happen.
That's what I was going to say. Is NASCAR's in such a tight boat because some things like this happen and everyone's like, you should have just waited and let Parker Kligerman win. But other times, Martin Truex gets loose and hits the wall.
I know.
And they throw it, and so people are like, they have to find a happy medium between throwing it whenever someone's buried and throwing it whenever someone just gets loose.
All right. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. But anyway, where we were at was, I believe, what I was going to say was, just NASCAR puts themselves in a box. Like, they need to find that happy medium where they either go to one extreme or the other. Mm-hmm. And so if they
don't need to go to one extreme or the other. They just need to find the medium.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But, like, if somebody gets loose, they don't need to throw it out just expecting it to happen. But also, when there's a clear wreck and a clear time for there to be a caution, then you need to throw a caution.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it boils down to is... Especially on right before the white flag, like with 2 laps to go, they need to be ready.
Well, I think the biggest thing was he had technically already taken the white flag. They were literally flying the white flag. And, like, he didn't even throw the yellow flag on top of the stand until after he had passed. Yeah. So it's just a whole bunch of, like...
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's dumb because the problem is with NASCAR too is that everybody looks at the flag for it, but it goes by the light. And so they'll press the button and then the lights appear and then it takes the flagman a second to get it, the yellow flag, and wave it. And when it's that close, it just causes a lot of unnecessary controversy. There's a lot of different things in NASCAR that causes unnecessary controversy, in my opinion. But we'll get to that later. That'd be a different video. But anyway, shifting into second gear, we'll go ahead and talk about Alex Bowman. He was in the playoffs. He made it to the round of 8. All 4 Hendrick drivers made it, and then he got disqualified because he was too light. His car was too light, and it didn't pass inspection. A lot of people will say, of course, when he hit that curb and jumped over the curb, you see some pieces and stuff falling off, and we'll say, well, there it is right there. That's the weight. Yes, but NASCAR also gives them I think it was like a 17-pound leeway. So even if you, when you think about him being too light, it's not like he was, 2 pounds too light. He was probably 19 pounds too light. Hey, they already gave him that leeway. It's just like speeding on pit road. When you're 0.1 mile an hour over the speed limit, you're really 5.1 miles an hour over the speed limit because they give you that 5 mile an hour leeway. And so when it comes to something like this, unless they were just way off, and NASCAR or Hendrick Motorsports had a clear appeal that they think they could have won, then you really are just kind of stuck because you were already in that leeway. So yes, it stinks for him. I mean, yes, he's not going to be moving on and they're not going to appeal it, but I mean, that's the one thing where it's rules are rules. I'd rather them do that than to switch up the rules all the time. NASCAR just needs to stay consistent. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, it just stinks for that team. I know Rick Hendrick's big push was to try to get all 4 of them in the Final Four, and that would have been awesome. But I mean, it stinks for Bowman. But looking on the bright side, I'm just gonna kind of switch to a positive real quick. Just the doubt people had on Alex Bowman and seeing him kick it on in the playoffs. I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do next season because he did show, hey, this is my number 48 car, and I'm gonna defend my seat. And he really kicked it in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited to see what he's got next year. They kind of set a fire under him, and I'm excited to see what the 48 car can do next year.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if he goes out and wins one of these next 4 races.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing really good in the playoffs, and if you remember, he was leading the points last year before he broke his back. So it's not like everybody talks about how he's a bad driver, but he's not a bad driver. Like, he does really good, but he's kind of streaky sometimes. But he was leading the points, and then when he got to that dirt wreck, broke his back, and he talks about how he hasn't been the same since. And I think he's finally starting to get back in that groove.
I think that's just kind of a Hendrick curse at the generation they're at now, because Elliott hasn't been the same since he broke his leg. And then Byron hasn't been the same since he broke his back. And the only ones that are kind of consistent is Larson and Byron, and they haven't done anything yet. So
yeah, that's what makes me nervous sometimes with Kyle Larson racing dirt so many times.
Yeah,
because the next gen car is so close with everybody else that if you just lose just that little bit of edge, like it could be a 1/10 of a second, and instead of being first, you're not even second, you're like 15th or 20th. And it's really hard to make that back up. So, but anyway, that's just how it is when you shift into third gear.
All right, shifting into third gear. Third gear is going to be the Roval, the new configuration, and how we liked it. If it should stay on the circuit or should they go back to the oval? I personally liked it. I was kind of interested to see how it would work. But I was watching it, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? That would actually be a really fun race to go to, because they were saying all day that the action corner was turn 7, which is that new hairpin turn. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But if you realize it in the track sense, that's right there in front of the fans. And so all the action was happening right there.
Yep.
And so I think that was perfect for the fans. And I went to the Motor Speedway and got the tour and stuff. And the guy said he actually wasn't excited for the reconfiguration because they used to go over that hill. But, I mean, the hill's still there. They're just going over so I feel like it was a little bit better. They were carrying more speed, and like I said, action turn number 7. I think it was a good race. I mean, there was passing zones throughout, but it really kind of came down to that turn 7.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was gonna say. It created more passing opportunities, which is good. So I liked it, and I like road course racing in general. But I always say that I would never want to go to a road course race because you can never see the whole track. But this is a track to where it's built inside a speedway, and so you literally could probably, I haven't been there, I haven't been to Charlotte, but you have been to the speedway. You could probably tell me if I'm right or not, but I feel like you could literally see the whole track when it comes to this. And so that would be one road course race that I would like to go see, is because you're not worried about them coming by you for a split second and then waiting a lap for them to come by you again. You can actually see all the action. So I think because of that and everything else, and it being a different than the oval and being so different in general than what they do, I think it should stay in the schedule. There's a lot of people that say they should go back to the oval and just race the oval twice because the next gen car is so good at ovals. And while I agree that the next gen car is so good at ovals, I still think that the Roval is a good enough track and a different enough track that they need to go there. Yeah. So I don't think that argument would, because it's going to come to a point where either the track loses some of its grip or the cars get more equal in different areas or whatever, to where eventually the 1.5 miles is going to start being not quite as exciting because they're always streaky again, because everything in NASCAR is kind of streaky when it comes like that. So back in the early 2000s, the 1.5 miles were great, and so they flooded the schedule with 1.5 miles, like 20 something races out of the schedule was like 1.5 mile racetracks. And now they've diversed the schedule so much, and now that because the cars started getting bad at 1.5 miles, well, now that they're good at 1.5 miles again, we don't just need to flood them with 1.5 miles again, because eventually it's going to go back the other way, and then we're going to be stuck where we were back in the late 2010s or mid 2010s, where they're just kind of okay races. So yes, we need to enjoy it while it's good, but we also need to keep the schedule diverse. I don't think we need to go to the same track a couple times. There's only a few tracks,
especially in the playoffs. I think in the playoffs, you need to show who's the best driver. And I mean, obviously they've thrown in Talladega, they threw in 1.5 miles, they threw in Bristol, a road course. And isn't it next year there's going to be 2 road courses? Isn't Watkins?
No, Watkins Glen's coming out. Watkins Glen was in this one.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, each round you've had to show your skills in some way,
and that's why I always say, not to interrupt you, that's why I have always said that, because a lot of people will say, well, they need to have regular tracks in the playoffs. Well, if you just have one guy that's really good at 1.5 miles and not good at any others, then why do they deserve to have the tracks catered to them? If you're going to have a playoff elimination style like this, I think you need to have every single track that we have different wise in the playoffs. You need to have a road course, you need to have a super speedway, you need to have a mile, half mile, 1.5 miles, 2 mile, anything you can think of. I think there should be a dirt track in there.
I was literally going to say that.
Because it shows the playoffs, you need to be the best of the best. Not just the best on 1.5 mile racetracks, or the best at short tracks, or the best at super speedways.
Yeah.
You need to be the best out of all the tracks and show your skills to go through there. That's why I can't stand when people are like, well, this is a wild card round because it has a road course and a super speedway in it. Yeah. No, you just need to be good at super speedways and road courses too to win the championship. I mean, yes, it can be a wild card because random stuff can happen there, but at the same time, you have to be good at those races to win. That's what makes it so hard and so good. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Yeah. And to go back to what you said, I do think they should bring dirt track back to NASCAR, but not Bristol. I just don't think.
Yeah. I think
Bristol was cool, but I think they just need to do. They need to go to Eldora.
That's what I was going to say. Eldora.
With Stuart Haas, dissolving and stuff like that, and Stuart not seeming the happiest with NASCAR, I doubt they could get into Eldora. But there's other dirt tracks out there, and even, the Illinois State Fair, the fairgrounds over there, ARCA races there, so.
Yeah, and it's a mile. Because the thing is, with the way the Cup cars are built,
they're too big to be on a small.
Yeah, they probably do need to be like a mile dirt track, if half a mile at the shortest. or the shortest. So they need to have a bigger track like that. But there's got to be a track. There's so many dirt tracks out there. There's got to be a track that they can go to and just add stands or whatever the case is.
Well, even if they get rid of the Roval, there's a dirt track there in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I mean, home track race at the Charlotte dirt track. That would be really cool, But who knows?
Yep. Never know. But that's our 2 cents worth anyway. So shifting into fourth gear, I want to talk about our championship 4 picks. Because I wanted to see, kind of give an update where our picks are at, and if they're still in the running of the championship 4 and how it's looking. So my picks were Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Chase Elliott based off consistency. And so far, they're all still in the hunt in the final 8. You have Kyle Larson. I mean, he seems to be just doing really good. Of course, he can't have bad races.
Only on elimination races.
I was about to say, he kind of he does good one week and then kind of okay the next.
Well,
but I think
does
he's good
the elimination race. That's all he needs to be good at.
And Tyler Reddick, he barely made it in. Denny Hamlin barely has made it in through this whole entire thing. Then Chase Elliott, he's just been good enough to go by. So Kyle Larson, if you look at these next couple racetracks, Las Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville, Las Vegas and Homestead, I think, are going to go Kyle Larson will win, Tyler Reddick will win one. That's just how it is because it's up by the wall, and they're really good at racing by the wall, and that's how it was last year. And so I think they still make it in. Denny Hamlin is the one I'm concerned about based off my picks. Me personally, I don't want to make the Final Four. But he's just barely made it in these last couple times, and we see how hard it is to get in the Final Four. And so we'll see what happens there. He's got to have a good couple races. Chase Elliott's already behind by 9 points because of the way the points work and reset. So he's got to have some good races too. He's been good enough to go through, but he needs to start getting stage points in every stage up there and finish in the top 5 on every race if he wants to do that. And even then, it just kind of depends on the points and who wins.
Yeah.
So what about your Final Four picks?
My Final 4 picks were Larson, Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and William Byron. And so, me and you both have Larson and Hamlin. And I agree, Larson's good at these next couple tracks, and I don't think there's nothing stopping Larson. I do kind of think obviously we don't want Hamlin to get into the Final Four, but I think Hamlin goes out there and wins one of these next 2.
Oh yeah.
I just think he's good at these tracks. And so I think he's going to go out and win one of these 2, which will move him on. But and then Bell's been pretty consistent because, like you just said earlier, this last round was kind of like a wild card. It was just kind of the big races. But now they're going back to Las Vegas, which is 1.5 miles, and they're going to smaller tracks that they're used to. And so now that they're getting more comfortable in those races, I feel like all of them will be up there because Bell's been consistent all year. Now that they're done with the big speedways and stuff like that, I think Bell will be up there. And Byron, he's always consistent, Yeah. And so I think all 4 of them have a chance to get in there. Like you said, Elliott could have a good run at one of these tracks and go out there and win, but and then you got Joey Logano too, which is barely snuck in.
If you look at statistics, every year since the playoff format has started, every even year he has made the championship 4. And 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. And so, statistically wise speaking, it says he should make the Final Four. But the way his performance goes, I don't know. He technically missed the round of 8, but because of Bowman, he made it in. So we'll see see how it goes.
And I'll save that for the race overall.
Okay.
So,
how about your championship pick? How's he looking? And do you think
Christopher Bell? I think he's still got a chance. Like I said, the first couple rounds of the playoffs have not been the best, but you can say that about everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like this year the championship or the playoffs have just been tough for everybody.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, Bell's, he's snuck. Well, he's not snuck through. He's
Made
up
it.
there and advances almost every
Oh yeah.
round. Not like he's not close to the cut line at all. So I think he's still good.
Yeah. My championship pick was Tyler Reddick. I'm not. I don't think he's necessarily doing the greatest, but I'm going to stick with him and say maybe he wins the championship.
Okay.
Shift him to fifth and final gear. We'll do the race overall. I think the race was good. I think it needs to stay, and then like I said, stay in the playoffs, stay the Roval and everything. I think it's really, really good. So I give it percentage wise. I'll give it an 83%. It was good, but Kyle Larson dominated, and of course, when somebody dominates, it makes it bad.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think the race was really good. The reconfiguration was really good. This was what I was gonna say earlier, though. Almost all of the excitement with Tyler Reddick chasing down Joey Logano basically in the playoffs and doing all that was basically nothing after Alex Bowman. So looking back at it, it was a good race because all that tension was there, and then all of a sudden just Alex Bowman's out, and so all that was kind of for naught, you know. But my percentage, I would say, kind of a little bit higher than yours, probably 85.
All right.
So because it is a road course and. It was just not the best. I mean, they were still trying to figure out the new configuration and stuff. So
Yeah.
but it was good.
All right. Well, I feel like that was a longer video than normal. But
Probably.
that's all right. We'll go ahead and get this out. And that if you like the video, comment, subscribe, and we'll try to make a video again next week and go from there. So next week is Las Vegas. So it should be a good race. Las Vegas is kind of similar to Kansas in that way. So it should be a pretty good race. So, but anyway, that should be it.
That should be.
All right.